Hotline Miami is an indie action game developed by Dennerton Games and published by Devolver Digital. The game promises to be gore-filled, with the missions basically being that you go from building to building and slaughter everyone on the premises for various reasons. Now, to do this, you actually have quite a large variety of weapons, with more that can be unlocked as you play through the game, as well as a wide selection of masks that give you certain perks and can make the game either more easy or more challenging, or something to help you fit your own playstyle. In terms of weapons, the game boasts that there are 55 different weapons, from shotguns to melee weapons, that actually allow you to mix up your playstyle quite a lot. In terms of melee weapons not making any sounds, allowing you to actually go from room to room and just kill people silently without attracting attention of guards. However, obviously, because you're using melee weapons and the game is so fast paced and so cutthroat, it's incredibly hard to actually complete missions fully melee, and I actually think that's one of the best parts of the game, the ability to actually replay the missions over and over again and make the game either harder or easier depending on your actual skill level, and you can actually get onto the leaderboards with high scores and things like that, so there's actually some real incentive to replay the missions over and over again. That and the fact you unlock the weapons throughout the game, so you can actually go back to earlier missions and be able to use weapons that you've unlocked later on. In terms of the actual weapons themselves, they're really varied. I mean, you can even unlock things like glass bottles and katanas, so yeah, and each of the weapons has their own actual reach, so obviously a glass bottle is pretty good for throwing and knocking people out, but obviously it's not so good if you want to swing in a massive arc, while a katana sword is obviously incredibly good at slashing people to pieces. Now, as for the actual plot in Hotline Miami, I'm not really going to say anything because it's going to give the story away. I do just want to point out that it does actually have a storyline, and it's incredibly weird, so yeah, don't be surprised if you find yourself a little confused while you're playing through it. However, it's actually an amazing soundtrack to the game to accompany the whole story and the gameplay. There's quite a lot of different artists. I know for a fact there's an artist called Sun Arar, or Arar, if you want to say it. He's done some music, including the intro tune that you'll actually be able to hear over this narration that I'm doing. And there's some other artists such as Moon and Jasper Byrne. So yeah, there's actually a really good soundtrack to this game, and that's one of its strongest points. However, as good as the game is, there's actually a few things which are, I don't know, a bit annoying. The fact that the options menu is so limited, you can't even change things like your resolution and stuff like that in the game. However, it does support a gamepad, so I suppose there is some silver lining, so to speak. Another thing I mentioned, well, I haven't mentioned, is the fact that if you're actually stood next to a door, next to a wall, your character looks like he should be able to swing things coming through. In actual fact, he doesn't, he hits the wall. It's sort of annoying. I suppose there is a way they could tighten that up to actually make it so the whole line of sight thing works a bit better, and that sort of annoyed me because that's caused quite a few deaths in the game. You'll notice that you'll die a lot within the game, and it's sort of annoying when you're just about to finish a mission and then you die for something as silly as that. And it's, yeah, it can be actually quite rage-inducing. Actually, the game is pretty rage-inducing just in general. I don't know if that was a deliberate thing of the developers to actually make it so you get really annoyed playing this ultra-violent game, but I don't know, it's just, oh, it's so, there's something about it, it's got a really good balance of skill. The game is difficult enough. I don't think they've made the game either too easy or too hard. The difficulty is just right. However, this unforgivingness within the game, it makes you so angry when you're so close to finishing a mission and something happens because you didn't think, and it actually requires some pretty meticulous planning for the larger missions. You have to get it right on multiple attempts. I very much doubt that in the later missions someone could have done that first time without actually dying once the first time they came across the mission, because there's so much stuff that you wouldn't expect. you can't account for. The game is simple enough but has a decent enough difficulty curve to actually keep you interested for a long time. It's a game that I would really recommend because it's not particularly long, but it's not particularly expensive, and if you just want a really good fulfilling experience that's around about 3 hours long, go for it. That's factoring out any replayability. That's just from start to finish. So yeah, I mean, it's a really worthwhile game to pick up, and that's a reason why I gave it an 8.3 out of 10. I would definitely play it again if they brought out another Hotline Miami, because it's just such a satisfying game to play.